All right. Yeah, this is just going to be one of the first videos that we post up in a series of how to build a house with hemp. My name is Eric Titus White. This is Cameron McIntosh. You are watching us here at the Hempstead in East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, as Cameron is preparing our Caretaker's Cottage. We were trying to figure out what we're going to call it, but that's exactly what it is. It's a Caretaker's Cottage. We have several outbuildings on the farm here. This was originally the workshop. Was built 120 years ago, and we took about 2 weeks to clean the thing out. Found a bunch of old treasures here, and in the process found that there was some structural work that needed to be done as well, which we'll go over. We put in a French drain because there's a bunch of seepage coming through. We had water pooling after we cleaned the thing out, but we're ready to start putting hemp in, installed in the walls. So the Hempcrete hemp lime is the next phase. We're preparing right now the framing, and what you see here, this stuff, and Cam can kind of get into the details, and he can also do some foreshadowing, and we can kind of talk about the next maybe 6 or 7 episodes that we'll have, and we'll post those as we get there.
So this is one method for installing hempcrete in a retrofit sort of environment where you've got an existing structure. Often, you leave the siding intact. It's a little bit more cost effective to do it that way, but the nature of hempcrete is such that it likes to be breathable. It's vapor permeable, so it has to be able to breathe on both sides. So when you're retrofitting against an in-place siding, you need to use something to maintain that air gap, which is what you see going on here. The slats on the side of this building are pretty open due to the age, so we're not as worried about it as we would normally be, say for a residential home. But basically this material, this wood fiber mesh material, is going to just give us a little bit of a gap behind the hempcrete on the back side. And what you're worried about there is moisture that's created within the space being transferred to the back side of the wall and then creating a dew point where it meets the siding. So for typical hempcrete on a new construction, you've got hempcrete through and through. The frame is in the center and you plaster either side, both sides being vapor permeable. Then here we don't have that option. We're just gonna be plastering the inside. And in order to be sure that we don't end up with a dew point issue that could lead to mold or rot or something like that, we're using this to kind of maintain an air gap behind us. So this casting will be 6 inches. Again, this is not meant to be a residential home as much as it is, like Eric said, sort of the Caretaker's Cottage. So typically you would do about a 12-inch casting for a residential home. Here we're doing 6 inches. The jury's still out, in my opinion, on what the actual performance is. I think you get pretty incredible level of performance out of 6 inches of hempcrete versus if we were to do this traditionally with that or spray foam insulation, which everybody loves. I would argue that we would have a more performant structure here even with 6 inches. So you can see here we're starting by casing out the windows and doors where we're going to be casting the hempcrete back into this space. You use a movable formwork. We call it shuttering. And it moves up in about 2-foot lifts. You're placing the material into the void that you create with the formwork, and then you can move the formwork almost right away. So it is self-supporting, but it's not structural.
Yeah, so you can see down here, this is the lip.
There's a ledge. Yeah, there's a little ledger down here.
The hemp will be sitting on top of this, formed all the way up, so all of this is level. And I think probably what a good point to make would be is, with hempcrete, when you're going to be using hempcrete on a home, and you're building your home out of hempcrete, you would never have the wood siding already up. We would have just framed this whole house out and then encapsulated the frame fully in hempcrete. But because there's already wall here, we're just installing it, we're retrofitting it. I think a lot of people have a hard time understanding that the Hempcrete could be indoor outdoor, and should be if if we had our way. But this structure was already here, so we're just trying to retrofit it. But on some of the other videos that we're going to do, you'll see us making Hempcrete walls that are going to be indoor and outdoor, like on the back porch of the Hempstead. So.
Yeah, and it is a good point. When we think about the potential market for building with hemp, and that's one of the things that we want to kind of try to prototype here, is show people all the different options for building with hemp.
Yep.
Retrofitting actually is very viable, and when you think about it, you're taking an existing structure, which in the Northeast here, are typically very poorly insulated, not very efficient. And you're using a sustainable material that's carbon sequestering to improve the energy efficiency of an existing structure. So retrofitting is definitely valid. It's something that we want to explore more of, I think, because, again, when you're retrofitting, you're not inducing the carbon tax of building a new structure.
Sure.
So you're taking something and you're very literally storing carbon, and in the process improving the energy efficiency. So
absolutely,
very, very functional.
And like most projects, our project, the Hempstead project, is going to have a little bit of everything. Some of our walls are going to be fully indoors. One of them is going to be here. Yep. We're going to have an indoor wall for the bathroom that will be full Hempcrete with encapsulated frame. We're going to have indoor-outdoor walls on our back porch, on our mudroom upstairs. So we'll be able to get to see all of the different methods, the different finished products, all here. So that's going to be exciting. But this is really just phase one. Phase one was cleaning it out and finding time to do it. That was about 6 months, and now we're moving on. So we're going to get this vapor barrier in here. We'll get the whole thing framed out. The next step, the next video, I guess, is going to be us preparing Hempcrete and getting ready to put this thing in the lab. Yeah.
Maybe we could show a final prep stage where you'll see just exactly what it should look like before you're ready to Hempcrete, and that would include placement of the utilities and also
electric.
The lab.
Sure.
We'll check back in when we get done here.
Awesome.
And before we're ready to cast the Hempcrete.
And when it's a little less soggy. All right, cool. Thanks.
Cheers.